Epic here, back with another slasher guide, and today I'll be going over Nightfall. If you don't know, Nightfall is a special slasher because if you try and go in this shop, we can see that Nightfall is nowhere to be found. In order to obtain Nightfall, you have to play a different game that is related to this game, called Before the Dawn 2 Night Shift, which is basically the prequel of this game. In order to actually get Nightfall, you have to unlock the badge by completing the true ending in this game. There are definitely some wonderful guides on YouTube that'll tell you how to get this badge. And for me, that's what I used in order to get Nightfall and all the other badges in this game. Without further ado, let's talk about Nightfall. As you can see, Nightfall is a platinum slasher because besides the murderer, Nightfall is one of the two classes that you can acquire without buying it directly in the shop. The other is Trickster, but we'll talk about that in a different video. So the description of Nightfall says, it specializes in closing the gap and tearing apart survivors with a flurry of attacks. Fast with lower damage. So Nightfall is great at picking off squishy survivors, such as the cameraman and the scavenger, but once you're up against a tank, you might be in a little bit of trouble. This was one of the reasons that I thought Nightfall used to be bad, because I kept going after the tanks and they wouldn't die. Additionally, I didn't know how to use my abilities effectively, and if there's one thing I should tell you about Nightfall, is that his abilities is what makes him successful. If you don't use his abilities, then you're going to fail. The first ability is called Cloak, which makes you invisible for a short duration while revealing the positions of survivors. If you use this ability or attack, then it removes the cloak. So the first part of this ability is the invisibility part, and I really want to focus on this part. While the invisibility might be useful because the other survivors won't be able to see you, they'll still be able to hear you because they can hear their own heartbeat when you're still near. So you might be able to get 1 or 2 hits off by surprise, but after that, you'll just be attacking normally. So the invisibility part isn't what I really use this ability for. What I do use this ability for is the second part, which is revealing the positions of other survivors. If you reveal the other positions of the survivors, you can easily see everyone else around the map, which is useful because the breathing system is kind of unreliable in this game. What I really like to use this part of the ability for is after I just killed someone, because I know that people will try to revive the person that I just knocked down. But if I just wait a little bit and then use my ability, Cloak, then I'm able to see if anyone is coming for him, and then I'll be able to stop that person. The second ability is called Warp, which teleports to the nearby survivor, dealing a small amount of damage. This description is kind of vague and misleading because it doesn't tell you how far you can teleport, but you still have to be kind of pretty close to the survivor in order to teleport to them. It's not like you can teleport across the map just by pressing this ability. Someone actually has to be nearby. The small amount of damage that you do by teleporting to someone is 25, so it's basically as if you just attacked one person with your basic attack, so it's nothing too big. With the warp ability, it's pretty busted if you use it when you have full stamina, because once you warp, you're basically able to keep up with the survivor that you're chasing infinitely, unless they use a stun bottle on you, or they use the stun ability, just like the bat, or the Jock's ability. If they don't have one of those stun abilities, or a bottle, then they're basically surely to be dead, because it's impossible for them to escape you as long as you know how to conserve your stamina and use it at the right time. The ultimate is called Roar, which staggers all nearby survivors while dealing a large amount of damage. So I like to think of this ability as kind of the opposite of Warp, because Warp teleports you to a nearby survivor, but Roar staggers a nearby survivor, so that allows you to get to them While both abilities let you get to the survivors, the difference between Warp and Roar, the first difference is that Roar is an area of an effect move, so it hits multiple survivors at the same time. It also deals more damage than Warp because it is an ultimate. It does 50 damage, which might not seem a lot, but if you're hitting multiple survivors, that can add up easily. Because if you hit 3 survivors, that would be 50 times 3, which would be 150 hit towards everyone, which is pretty powerful. The second difference between Warp and the ultimate is the passive ability, which really brings the ultimate over the top. It says that staggering survivors with Roar recharges their first and second ability. This is why I really said Nightfall is an ability-based slasher, and that's because you can create some pretty cool combos by using Roar after you just use Warp, then you get Warp again, you'll also get Cloak again. So if you know what you're doing, you can have a long chain of abilities to take out multiple people in the same area. Now, even if you don't take this passive into use, your 3 abilities are still powerful. But the difference between killing everyone on the map and only killing some people is knowing when to use this passive. So if you roll out our abilities, the first ability, Cloak, has a 1-minute cooldown, and the second ability, which is the Warp ability, has a 45-second cooldown. You also need to remember that if you use Roar, that will take both of these abilities off cooldown. So instead of having to wait 1 minute or 45 seconds, you can just use your ultimate and you'll get these abilities once again, which is pretty powerful, if you ask me. Our ultimate has a 1 minute and 30-second cooldown, which is not long compared to some of the other slasher abilities. So if you look at our class stats, you can see the important stats such as speed, which is 16, and we know that 16 is a fast number in this game. Our damage is 20, which is less than the average slasher, and our attack speed is 1.25, which is faster than the average slasher. So, like I said, with this damage, you're not going to want to go after tanks in the beginning of the round. You're going to want to find people such as a scavenger that would be a high priority target for you, or maybe someone like the EMT or the Paramedic. So it's really hard to demonstrate the comboing of abilities without actually showing you gameplay, so that's what we'll get to right now. See you soon. Okay, so for this gameplay, I really want to focus on commentating the abilities, because there's a lot that happens in this game, and it has to do with the abilities. Like I said, Nightfall Slasher is really an ability-based slasher, so if you know how to use his abilities effectively, then you'll have success with Nightfall. So what I don't do right off the bat is try and use my Cloak ability to try and see where the other survivors are, because you can still use breeding at the beginning of the round to know where the survivors are, and they'll always be around spawn at the beginning, so I really see no point in using Cloak, unless I want to get a surprise attack in, which I don't think is that good. So I see my first survivor right here, and I mistakenly run into a trap, but then this batter decides to hit me, which I'm okay with, because I know that he just wasted his bat charge. So I'm going to go after him, and I use my warp ability right here to finish him off, just in case he was about to stun me again. Now this other batter hit me as my stamina was low, so I'm able to recharge some stamina, which is a general tip that you should do, is that if you have low stamina, then it doesn't really matter if someone comes and stuns you, because it allows you to recharge your stamina. Right there, I just used my Cloak ability to see if anyone was coming towards the person I just knocked down, and I see that the batter just returned to him. That's pretty good use of my ability, because I'm able to see if anyone else is trying to save him. Right here, I see that Paramedic just revived him, but now I'm able to kill them both. So I use my ultimate Roar ability, which instantly kills the Paramedic. I use my warp that just regened due to my roar ability, and I'm able to catch up to the batter. Because he doesn't stun me, I'm able to infinitely combo him, and he dies right there. Since I killed him, I get the tracking enabled, and I'm able to see the guy behind the tree, and I'm able to kill him pretty easily since I hit him a few times already. So I'm in my cloak status, and I know I have an opportunity to flank someone, and I see right here that the generator objective is being completed by this guy. I attack him, and he has absolutely no time to respond, which is great for me. So I'm coming back to this general area to see if the paramedic has revived yet. I see that the paramedic is about to revive, but I'm about to see that the other guy is about to die as well, so the paramedic won't be able to revive that guy. I see this guy in spawn, and I think he's going to pull off something, so I use my warp ability, even though I probably didn't have to, because I don't think that guy knew what he was doing at all. So, as I can see by the survivor number, besides the guy that I just knocked down, I still have to deal with 4 other people on the map. So I know that this game isn't completely over yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident about my chances right now. So right now I just use all of my stamina right now in order to try and catch up to one of these survivors. So I can use my roar ability, but I see that both of my abilities are about to go off cooldown. So I don't really see the point in using roar right now when I can use warp in order to take this guy out. So I use warp, and I'm able to catch up to him because he isn't able to stun me. And right here, I think this is a paramedic, so I try and flank the paramedic with my cloak ability. I get a few hits off. I try and roar to prevent the paramedic from coming to revive this person, but the paramedic is smart enough to stun me, and she's able to get off another revive. I know that it will take 1 hit, 1 kill to knock them out of the game permanently. So I go over to the guy trying to do the objective first because that's more important to me. And he's going to sacrifice himself to complete one part of the objective, which is a trade that I'll take. Now I know this paramedic didn't make it far, so I'm trying to find where the paramedic is hiding. And just to take no chances, I use my cloak ability to try and find where this paramedic is hiding. And she's hiding in the mausoleum, probably with low health. So I know that she's pretty easy to kill right now. And as you can see right here, she has no chance of fighting back as I kill her. So all I see is that there are 2 survivors left. So what I'm doing is running towards their general area. I see that my warp ability has just gotten off cooldown. So I know that I can do another pretty sick combo since my roar is about to go off cooldown as well. So coincidentally, both of the survivors happen to be in the same place. So I know that the game is about to end right here, as long as I'm able to use my abilities correctly. This batter stunned me 2 times, but what I really see in the distance is this guy trying to open the supply van, which I have to stop or else they might have a chance. So they stunned me again, and they managed to get open the supply van, but I use my warp ability, and then I use roar to prevent them from taking anything, which does a massive amount of damage, and I'm able to kill both of them in a span of just 2 seconds. And I just happened to kill everyone in just 6 minutes, which is pretty impressive if you consider that I had 8 survivors to deal with. So what I really demonstrated in this video is that the abilities are what make Nightfall successful. I did get a few kills without even having to use my abilities, but I feel like for the normal survivor, you're really going to have to use your abilities or you won't be able to catch up to them. With my warp ability, you're able to hit them infinitely as long as it's against a class that can't stun you and they don't have a puzzle. So if you're up against something like the Deprived, you're definitely going to be able to kill them with 1 warp ability. Now, thank you guys for watching this Nightfall guide, and I'll see you in the next one.